All right, so last time. So you alluded to it a little bit. You are in the one of the main watch stations, one of the main headquarters of the Apayan Guard, and you came to report on your findings of the wrecked fishing boat and the attendant clues that you had found at that location. And while you were there, a body was brought back. There was a big hullabaloo, a big to-do over that event. And as you were, more or less, as you were beginning to wrap up your business there and were preparing probably to leave and seek lodging for the night, perhaps, something happened. You started hearing screams. You started hearing the sounds of probably battle in other rooms. Or actually, you were outside when this started. You were in the back alleyway when it started.
Yep.
And you heard it from inside, and you and the back gate guard went in together to investigate. When suddenly, as you were making your way through the hallways, suddenly a figure burst through one of the intervening walls into the hallway where you and the guardsmen were, and attacked the guard. And he is down and bleeding all over the place. And the figure, as you described, was a naked humanoid figure, just corpse white, with long, vicious claws and fangs. And the figure made its attack on the guardsman. Didn't seem to take much notice of you, being as you're so much smaller. You were kind of behind the guard at the time, and the figure retreated down this darkened hallway in the other direction from where you had been coming from, and it is now out of sight. All right. So that's the situation currently. The guardsman is he slumped after he was attacked, blood pouring out of his chest. He slumped against the wall and slowly slid down the wall to the point where he's now half lying in the hallway, half propped up against the wall, and just blood is just pouring out. Is there anything?
My understanding is that he looked so beat up that I couldn't fix it if I tried.
Would you like to make a medicine check?
Sure, why not? First bad roll of the day. Yep, it's bad. Got a 5. There's blood on the wall.
Yeah, there's blood everywhere, and he, as you get closer and kind of take a look at him, he has essentially the entire upper part of his chest wall has essentially been just torn open, and he's just gushing blood everywhere. He doesn't seem to be, as far as you can tell, he doesn't seem to be breathing. His eyes are open and just fixed, and he's just staring at nothing. That's all you can tell. So you're in a darkened hallway. You can't really tell. You kind of got a little turned around as you were coming in here. These hallways are kind of slightly maze-like. So behind you is the direction you came from. As you're facing the body of the guardsman laying on the ground, to your left is the hole in the wall that the creature came through. You see that the inner, although the outer walls of this building are brick and stone, the inner walls seem to be just like a single layer of brick covered by plastic. And that's what the creature came through. And ahead of you, the hallway is darkened. There's no lanterns in this hallway. You do see a few places where lanterns would hang, but there aren't any in here currently. The hallway continues on for a bit. You can see it eventually turns to the right, maybe 35, 40 feet further on. It turns to the sharp 90-degree turn to the right, so you can't see any further than that. About maybe 25 feet away from you, you do see what appears to be a door to the right, a doorway rather, not a door, going to the right. It's on the right-hand wall. And you can see, as you look ahead, coming from that doorway, you can see what appears to be flickering firelight somewhere inside that doorway. So you can't see anything, you just see the flickering of firelight playing against the opposite wall, about 25-ish feet away.
Okay. So I'm gonna kneel down next to Monty. I'm like, Monty, you're gonna hate this. I'm sorry. Can you track that thing? And I'm gonna say track. And I'm gonna point in the direction that the thing went. And I'm gonna follow Monty and hope to God I don't trip and die.
Well, you saw where it went. It went down to the 90-degree turn and disappeared around that corner. So you know that far at least.
Yep.
All right. Yep. You want to follow? You want to try and follow it?
Yep.
Okay.
At least notify other people that there's a scary, dangerous thing in here that someone should take care of.
Okay. All right. So you're going to continue on that way. Are you being stealthy, or how are you? Are you just running after it? How are you going about it?
It ran away pretty fast.
It did, yes.
I'm not going to kill myself because I'm going to run at a normal pace, maybe trying to be a little bit, maybe slightly slower than a running speed, but okay. I want to try to get there.
Sort of like a jog then?
Yeah, let's do a jog.
Okay. So
I'm not stealthy anyway.
You and Monty both start jogging in that direction. And that very quickly brings you to the doorway going to the right. That was only 25-ish or so feet away. And it's an open, you see as you draw up to it, that it's an open door, an open double door, in fact, as you get up closer to it. And you look that way, and you're looking into the main entryway that you had originally come in. When you had where you had spoken to the drunk, and you had met the sheriff Oxnard sitting behind the desk with the heavy crossbow. Okay, so you look, and that's that room. It is now. Do you want to just keep going? Do you want to just ignore it? Because this is where the firelight is coming from. Do you want to just book past it, or do you want to take a second to
is there anybody in there?
Okay, so you're gonna kind of slow down and take a look in there then.
Yeah.
So it's very different than when you were in here last. It appears to be mostly deserted, like all of the people that were sitting in the benches, including the drunk that you had the conversation with. They're all gone. In the middle of the room is what appears to be a prone humanoid figure on fire. This figure is burning, laying out prone on the ground right in the middle of this large room, burning, and that's where the firelight is coming from. And you can see that beyond that, you can see on the other side of the room, which is the large main double doors to the building itself. You've already been through here. These are the doors that lead out onto the street.
Yep.
They're closed, barred, and there is another figure laying face down directly in front of these doors.
Not on fire?
Not on fire. Do you want to keep running?
Is the guy on fire alive?
It does not seem to be moving.
Does the guy in front of the door appear to be alive?
You can't tell from here. You're a good 30 feet away.
Are you alive?
No,
I'm gonna yell.
No response. Nothing moves. There's no movement.
Keep going.
The flames are just crackling.
Yep, keep going.
I will say that in the moment that you stood there and yelled, the figure face down at the doors, the non-burning one, judging by his size and girth, appears to be Oxnard.
Aw, poor Oxnard.
Since you stood there and looked, you're able to kind of pretty well determine that's probably him. And there appears to be some blood on his head. That's all you can tell about his condition.
I would like to walk in there and take his crossbow.
Okay. So you walk in. His crossbow is not near him.
Okay.
You kind of look around a little bit, and the desk that he was sitting at, you see the shattered remains of his crossbow sitting on. That's part of half of it is sitting on top, and half of it is just in pieces on the floor next to it. He does have next to him is a spear.
I will collect this spear and add it to my spear collection.
Okay. Yep, you're able to grab his spear. Make a medicine check.
16.
16. All right. He has a head wound of some sort that is bleeding. There's a little puddle of blood around his head. He's lying face down, his face is kind of in the puddle of blood, but he's breathing.
How many slots do we get a day? I don't know. Not very many.
Nope, not at first level.
Not at first level. There doesn't happen to be like a first aid kit somewhere in this building, right?
You have no idea. You haven't
No
seen
idea. It's cool. It's cool. I'm gonna go sit next to him really, really quickly, and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go get the guy. Stay here.
Okay.
That's cool.
He doesn't respond, doesn't move or anything like that.
Don't yourself get healing potions, Rud.
All right. All right. So you're gonna head back, going down the hallway. Okay.
Leaving myself a note to get healing potions.
So so again, the main room is pretty large. It's about 30 feet. So you've gone across to examine Oxnard, and you've passed by the burning body coming in to get to Oxnard. Now you're going to pass the burning body again.
Mm-hmm.
It appears to be a guardsman. One of the guardsmen. You can see the yellow helmet and the epaulets. Now that you've kind of taken care of Oxnard, you take a closer look on the way back. Make a perception check.
It's a wisdom's 15.
15?
Yes.
Weird though. He's a guard. It's a guardsman on fire. Appears to have chalk white skin.
Okay.
Keep rushing by.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a little concerned.
You get back to the doors that you had entered through, back into the hallway. So now right will take you to the 90-degree turn where you saw the creature disappear down, and left is where you came from, where the body of the guardsman is.
Yep.
Except the body of the guardsman is not there.
Of course not. Freaking zombies everywhere. Okay, let's go. Let's just keep going.
So you're going to turn right and head down to find the creature?
Yes.
So if you want Monty to try and track, have Monty make a perception check with his modifier.
Okay. He also has advantage against things that are smell based.
Okay. Yep, you can make that with advantage.
I assume it would be wisdom based, correct? He's got
Yes.
14 on the die. Are you doing perception?
Yes.
Okay, perception is a 17 for him.
17. Okay. Yeah, Monty's leading the way. He seems to be confident as to where he's going. He does have his hackles up though, like the fur on his back and on his neck is just standing straight up. And but he does seem to have a direction in mind, and he's leading the way. So you head down. You turn the right hand corner. You don't see anything. It's just more hallway. There is only one way to go at this point. So the hallway is going to make a few more turns. Again, it's kind of almost maze-like back here.
Mm-hmm.
You see the hallway does kind of break off into little cubbies. They look like maybe almost like little offices or cubicles in the modern world, where maybe guardsmen would sit and take care of their weapons and armor, maybe do some paperwork, whatever it is they got to do. But you see things that are probably personal lockers for these guys. You see little cubbies that have cots and blankets in them. It's probably where if they have like an overnight shift or something like that, they probably will stay there.
Yep.
So you're kind of seeing these off to the side as you're kind of making your way through this maze of hallways. Monty's still leading the way. You don't see anything. Make a perception check.
Ha! All right, cool. Taking my 20, man. It's 20. It's a natural 20.
You hear from
this die.
You come up on a doorway, and before you get there, you hear from behind the doorway, hey, kind of in a sotto voce, like a stage whisper type of voice. Like you hear somebody probably calling to get your attention, but trying not to be too loud. And it's coming from a doorway that's now a few feet up ahead of you that you're coming up on.
I'm gonna tell Monty wait, so he stays put. He knows to stay put right there. And I'm gonna try to investigate that sound.
Okay. So you get closer to the doorway that it's coming from, and you see kind of peeking around as you get closer is one of the guardsmen. And he kind of peeks out, like just one eye looks at you, and then you see like his the rest of his head and his shoulder come out, and he makes a waving motion at you, like, come here.
Monty, come. We're gonna go with this guy. Try to fit in this little cubicle thing.
So you head over there, and you kind of turn the corner a little bit, and you're able to look into this cubicle. And standing there is the guardsman who poked his head out and is waving at you, and Captain Neverlong, the tiefling inquisitor captain that you had spoken to in his office. Rycor. Yes. Rycor Neverlong is his name.
Yeah. Yep. The terrifying tiefling. Got it.
And you see this cubicle is actually quite small. It just barely fits the two of them in there. But you see there is a ladder up against the back wall that goes up to the ceiling.
Okay.
Oh, Rycor. It's our gnome friend. Oh, I don't think either of us expected that the night would turn out in this fashion when we spoke earlier.
Not quite.
I'm glad you seem to have made it, though. Would you care to join us on the roof?
Sure.
Excellent. Let's go quickly, please. And he basically he kind of slaps the guardsman on his back. The guardsman scampers up the ladder, and Rycor kind of indicates, gives you an after you type of motion.
Sure.
I do have some rope that's up on the roof. If you unless you have some other way to get your pet up the ladder.
We've practiced for this. All right, so I'm going to kneel on the ground and Monty's going to jump on my shoulders. I'm going to scramble the stairs.
Okay, make an acrobatics check.
It's going to look ridiculous, but we trained.
Or make it, it's going to be Monty making it. Well, you trained? All right, you trained? Yeah, okay. I'll say make it with advantage.
Monty, you want Monty to do it? All right, so Dex. So his is a 15 then.
15 total? Yeah, no problem. Though it's not super high. The ladder.
It's uncomfortable though.
Yeah, it seems like it's maybe a 10-foot ladder or so, and there's as you kind of squat, or not squat, but kind of brace yourself under the ladder, you can see that there's a trap door up in the ceiling.
Okay.
Yeah, with you giving him a boost, it's not that high. He's able to do it, and he kind of gets up pretty easily to the lip of the trap door, and then his back legs kind of miss a little bit and just kind of kick a couple times before he's able to actually pull himself over, and he disappears out of sight. He disappears out of sight onto the, you presume, the rooftop.
Okay.
And so it's you and Captain Rykor are now standing at the bottom of the ladder, when behind you, you hear a scraping sound.
Of course we do.
Both of you turn and look, and the back gate guardsman that you had come into the building with when you heard the noises is standing there.
Sure he is.
About 15 feet away from the both of you. His skin is now curiously chalk white, and his teeth and nails seem to have grown into fangs and claws. Blood still covers the lower half of his body, where it seems to have poured out of his torn left chest. And his eyes are vacant, and his jaw just kind of hangs nervelessly from the rest of his skull. Roll initiative.
I got a 5.
You got to stand next to. You got 5. Okay, you got to stand next to Captain Neverland for this.
Yep. Can I say that the minute I heard scratching that I brandished my shield, because scratching is dangerous?
Sure. Let me just find my D20 here. There we go. Oh, that's bad too. Okay. I rolled crappily as well.
Cool. Let's see what happens to us.
Wow, that's really bad. Okay. And rolling for Rykor. That's a little better. All right. Rykor is at the top of the order. He got an 11. So he pulls, he has a short sword at his side, sheathed at his side. He pulls that out of the sheath and brandishes it. And he is going to hold an action at the moment. He's going to hold his attack in case this transformed guardsman exhibits any hostile intent. You are actually next, because the guardsman rolled a 4.
Okay. So I'm probably right next to Rycorn. Rycorn, if that's his name.
The two of you are standing right next to each other. Yes.
I'm going to have my shield in. I'm sorry. Go ahead, dude.
I was just going to say it's a confined space that you're standing in.
Okay. I am going to brace the spear that I took from the front desk because I already have a spear, but now I have 2 spears apparently, and hold action with my shield in front of me. We're gonna see how
Okay.
smart these guys are.
Just holding an action until it comes close.
If it comes close, I'm going to do Word of Radiance on it, but I am in position to not get hit.
Okay.
It's a 5-foot spell, so I have to wait.
5-foot range.
Yes.
Okay. So that makes it its turn. And indeed, it is going to charge toward the 2 of you.
Cool.
So
Ready.
that will trigger your spell.
All right. It's a wisdom check, DC 12, according to D&D and Beyond. That's a con check. I'm sorry.
All right. Ooh, that was a natural 17, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. It's cool.
So it does save.
Is it half damage for that one though? I think that one gives half damage.
Word of Radiance.
Yeah, it's one of the newer ones.
Look that up.
Nope. It's an all or nothing spell, so he's fine.
Oh, okay, it's from Xanathar's.
Yeah.
So you cast the spell, and this blast of intense light comes out. Seems almost to come out of the surface of your highly polished armor itself, almost as if there were a light source that it's reflecting, but it's coming from within the armor itself. And you kind of see this creature kind of throw up one of its arms and just cover its eyes, but it keeps coming. It doesn't seem to have stopped it. All right, so that will also, as it gets up on you, that will also trigger Rykor's held attack. So he's going to take a swing with his short sword. And that will hit. All right. And he takes the short sword, and he seems to go into almost like a dancing pose as he almost uses the short sword like a spear, where he's setting his body and he's setting the tip of the short sword to impale the charging transformed guardsman, almost as if he's part of a rank of spearmen in some army, and he's setting his spear against a charge of cavalry. You kind of get that sense from his pose and the determined look on his face. Even just kind of reminds you of that. And this creature charges right onto the point of his short sword, and you actually see the tip of the short sword go in and come out the back of this creature, and there's a good probably 2.5 feet of steel just extending out the back of this creature. And you can see just you hear kind of like a low groan escape its lips, but it's still coming. It's even impaled. It's still reaching out its claws. So it is now going to take a swing with its claws at Rykor. And that will hit, as Rykor is currently not wearing any armor. So that is good enough to hit. Okay, you watch as these wicked-looking claws swipe across Rykor's chest and leave 4 slash marks just dug down the center of his chest. You just see the blood begin to drip. It doesn't seem to be that horrendous of a wound, but he definitely felt it, and he kind of falls back a little bit.
Okay.
The creature is also going to make a bite attack at you.
Okay.
Takes the swipe, and then you actually kind of see the lower jaw almost dislocate, and the maw just gets wider than would ordinarily be humanly possible, and you just see these fangs coming for you. Ooh, yeah, that is a natural 16 for a 19 total.
Okay. I'm a 16, just so that you know. With my magical blessing of the forge thing. All right, let's do it.
That is 4 points of piercing damage.
Okay, that didn't feel good. It's all right. It's all right. We got this.
All right, back to the top. So Rykor. Or wait, that was its turn. So you took your turn and righted it with the spell. That was its turn at the bottom. So yes, back to Rykor.
Yep.
He's gonna pull that short sword out, and he's gonna try and thrust it right back in. Oh yeah, natural 15. Oh yeah, that will for sure hit. Another solid hit. This time he pulls it out and just drives it back along the same line and plunges it into its throat. And again, you see like 2 feet of steel just out the back, still moving though, still clawing. You just, this time, instead of the low groan, you just hear like a gurgling sound coming out of it, what was once its human throat. And it is now your turn.
So I'm probably directly in front of it, right?
The two of you are standing side by side, and it is essentially right there in front of both of you.
Okay. So I'm gonna just do the same thing, Word of Radiance, do my little glowing, really hot thing, and hope to burn this guy this time.
Okay. So it needs to make a Wisdom saving throw.
Con 12.
Con 12. Okay. That is an 8.
Okay, cool.
So it fails.
All right. You take 4 damage of that's radiant.
4 radiant. Okay.
Yep. My hope is that hurts him.
Yeah, this time the light flares, and it again throws one of its arms up, sort of to shield its eyes. But this time you see the wounds that it's taken from Rykor's short sword. They're not bleeding, but they're kind of dripping like this sort of whitish fluid. And you see that fluid start to bubble and boil and just start flowing even further and faster.
Gross.
And it actually begins to steam as well. And you actually see patches of its very chalk white skin start to darken and almost in places almost blacken. So yeah, it didn't like that one bit.
Nope, didn't think so.
It actually makes kind of around the ruined wound in its throat. It kind of makes a hissing sound, like. All right, that was your turn. Now it's at the bottom. It's going to do the same thing: claw attack on Rykor, bite attack on you. That is going to miss Rykor, even with his no armor, because that was a 5 on the die. That is a 14 to hit you.
Okay, I'm fine.
You're 16?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so this time you're ready. You're ready for it. You were somewhat surprised last time that it took those wounds from the short sword and kept on coming. This time you're ready for it. You managed to Rykor manages to kind of keep it at bay because he's still got that short sword in its throat. He kind of is stiff arming it and keeping it at a distance. And you manage to get your shield up as the distended jaws come in and start snapping in front of you. You just kind of keep the shield in between it and you, and it protects you from any further damage.
Good plan.
All right. Rykor withdraws the short sword, and there's kind of a spray of this wet, smoking, whitish fluid that just kind of hits the wall. He's going to take a swing with the short sword. Oh, yeah. Natural 16 for sure. How many hit points does it have left? Okay. He takes the short sword. Instead of stabbing this time, he takes it back, chambers it behind him, and in a long, smooth arc from side to side, just sweeps it across the already damaged throat and spine. The head pops off, goes rolling off behind it. And the body kind of spasms a few times and then finally nervelessly just drops like a puppet with cut strings to the floor in front of the two of you. Creepily enough, the head rolls away, and you can see that those distended jaws are still snapping as the head rolls back down the hallway.
Now what?
Let's get to the roof. And he turns and he kind of grabs you by the collar and starts kind of herding you toward the ladder.
Okay.
You're gonna go ahead and climb that. Okay, so you can climb that. He's right behind you. You get to the top, and Monty is kind of sitting there and sort of looking at you with this concerned look on his face, in his eyes. And
it's just a scratch, buddy. It's all good. Just a scratch.
At the top, the guardsman that had waved you over, that had gotten your attention and waved you over, is up there, and there's also two other guardsmen. So it's now 3 guardsmen, you, Monty, and Rykor, all up on top. Rykor walks, he comes up over the lip of the trap door, and he looks down, looks at all of you, lifts the trap door itself, the door part of the trap door itself, and slams it closed. All right, get some of those barrels over there and put them on top of this trap door. He's addressing the guardsmen that are up there, and they immediately jump to and start grabbing some crates and barrels that were apparently, they look like rain barrels.
Okay.
That were up on top of the roof, and they begin moving them, as many of them as they can fit, right on top of this trap door. You go look over the edge of the roof and keep an eye on the front, the back and front doors. Let us know if anything comes out of them. And 2 of them kind of run off and lean over the edge of the building, and they're looking down, presumably at the front and back doors. You know where both of those are, so you can tell that's what they're looking at. Well, I suppose being a priest, I should ask you, what in the 9 hells is going on?
Can I roll a religion or arcana check to see if these are familiar to me? Sure. Or that I've read about them? It's gonna be a big no.
Whichever one's best for you, which would probably be religion, I'm guessing.
Yes. All right, I got a 10 on religion, which isn't great, but there are worse numbers.
So yeah, you've had some instruction as a priest in creatures that come back from the dead. So you've heard about it and you know about it. You don't really it wasn't something that you studied intensively, so you're not really sure about a lot of detail, but yeah, it's something that you've heard of, and you know that there are certain techniques used to deal with creatures like this, none of which you're really practiced in, but
Mm.
they do exist. So it's something that's not outside of your learning.
Would I have known about radiant damage being making a difference, or like some kind of burning?
You're fairly certain that radiant damage, you remember hearing something that radiant damage is the best kind of damage to use, but you're not certain of exactly why or exactly how it works. But
Okay.
yes, you do know that that's a good strategy to use against risen dead.
So I'll tell Rykorn,
R
the boss
Y
man.
Rykor.
Okay. Um, they are undead for a reason that I don't know. We didn't deal a lot with it in school, but I did read some books. All I remember is I think radiant damage causes them more harm. A few other things are more helpful, but I don't remember. But
It
but your
seems to be
buds, they're undead, man.
it seems to be spreading.
That's fair.
Is that something that you've ever heard of before?
Is it something that I've ever heard of before? Want me to roll for it?
Sure.
17 for religion.
17.
15.
You have heard that and it's more tales and stories than anything you've studied, but you have heard of cases where people killed by um, revenants of this sort will sometimes come back as the same type of creature.
Okay. So I'll let him know that there have been tales. I don't know if there's anything to them, but today I kind of think that there is that when you're harmed by one being in particular, sometimes when things die, they come back as the same.
And he kind of the way you put it, he kind of looks down at the wound on his chest and kind of looks at your wounds as well. And he's kind of like, you can kind of see a look of concern on his face.
True.
So
I
so when they're wounded, you say?
Hard to say. The guy you just saw was basically dead before. So I think maybe you have to almost die. And we're not almost dead yet.
Well, that remains to be seen. You grab those ropes and you look there's a coil of what appears to be dyed red rope or cordage, not very thick in diameter, kind of more what would be described as cordage rather than rope per
Okay.
se. There's a couple coils of it actually, not too far away from the trap door. Take the rope. Actually, just you. And he points at one of the guardsmen. Take the rope, get down off of this building, and go for help. Rouse all of the guard stations. Send them all here immediately. Anyone who's not needed immediately on watch, I want them here. And this guardsman that he pointed at immediately grabs one of the coils of rope, starts tying it off to part of the roof, and he looks like he's just going to rappel over the side and get down to the ground. You and you, he points to the other two guardsmen. keep watch on those doors. I want to know immediately if anything comes out either one of them. Those are the only exits from the building. The rest of the building is solid stone. So, and thick as well. So I don't think they're going to come out through the walls, hopefully. But keep an eye on those doors. I know that we should be okay with the back door because the back door has a mechanism that will lock automatically. He seems to kind of be talking to you right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the front door that I'm concerned about. So if you would like to maybe take a watch over the front door with the other guards, with the guardsmen, that would be helpful. And he kind of motions to the guardsman that's about to rappel over the side. Leave your crossbow for the gnome. It might come in handy. And it might slow you down as well. You're going to be running very quickly. And the guardsman kind of nods, takes his crossbow off his back and hands it to you.
I'm gonna just gesture to Rycorn. You might want to bring a healer just in case this is a disease.
Yes. Luckily, the only other healer in town, other than perhaps you, happens to be close by. Because we had use for him earlier today. So that's a stroke of luck, at least. He kind of nods at the guardsman who's about to rappel over, and the guardsman kind of acknowledges it with a nod as well. Speaking of which, we already spoke about your lack of training in the medical arts, but do you have any healing magics that might come in handy?
Very, very limited because I'm so young into the field. I can only do healing a couple times, and then I'm out for the fight. Is it emergency right now for you?
Oh, I'm not referring to my wound. I'm speaking in general. I'm sure that we'll have some healing work to do before the night is over.
I'll do my best.
Unfortunately, the only other healer, the one that he's going to go summon, is about at the same level of training as you claim to be. And I really don't care to get the blood priests involved in this. So that could be a problem.
We'll do the best we can. I do like a weird salute thing because I assume that's what you do.
He just kind of nods. Very well. If you care to accompany this guardsman to watch the front door, I will go watch the rear door with that guardsman.
Okay. I pick up the crossbow.
If you have any ideas, feel free to share them.
Burn the building.
I'd rather not do that.
Okay, that was my suggestion. Keep walking.
Besides, stone doesn't tend to burn that well. So, and he kind of turns and very straight backed and kind of military bearing, kind of saunters over to the guard who's watching the back door and takes up a post there with him.
Okay. All right, guard, what's your name?
Yeah, he was just about, you see him, he opens his mouth like he's just about to speak to you, and you say that, and he kind of, I am Damien. Corporal Damien.
Hi, Corporal.
Your name was?
Corin Wobblecog the second, and I'm great with a crossbow.
That's good. You might need it.
That's true. It's cool.
Have you ever run into something like this before? I heard you tell the Inquisitor captain that you're a priest.
Yes, but I am a fairly new priest. I just recently graduated from our temple. The most extensive thing I've run into was a fire race crab yesterday. Today? That was today. It's been a very eventful day.
He just kind of nods. All right, I hope you're good with that crossbow.
We'll see what we can do. And I'm gonna like train it at the. Can I see any indication of like maybe part of the door frame to know that I'm directly on top of the door?
I mean, you were at that door. You stood outside that door earlier in the night, so you know pretty much know where it is.
All right.
Yeah, you're basically right. The two of you are basically right over it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to train the crossbow on the door, and I'm going to lay on the roof like a commando would do if I knew what I was doing.
Okay. So you don't. The night actually gets quiet, like surprisingly so. Like it's getting fairly late, and some of the traffic has died down quite a bit in the street out front as the night progresses. You're not really sure what time it is, but it's got to be probably approaching midnight or so. You kind of lost track of time a bit with everything that's happened, and the only thing that you don't even hear anything from inside the building anymore. Like you don't hear the screaming anymore. You don't hear the thumping and sounds of battle, anything like that. All you're able to pick up is you can kind of see through the cracks in the door that's right below you. You can kind of see that flickering firelight, kind of coming a little bit through that door. And things kind of get almost eerily quiet.
Corporal, is there a basement or a cellar that you can have access to from the main floor?
there's I wouldn't say it's a cellar. There's some water storage areas, cisterns really, and some, I guess, basically storage areas. They're more pockets. That it's not really a full floor. It's more like a collection of cisterns and pits.
Okay. Is it possible for something to exit the building through the cellar storage area?
No, there aren't any exits that I know of.
Okay.
Maybe the captain knows more than I do.
Okay. So it's probably still in there then.
Them, yes, I would guess so.
It's a strange day. So the light that I can see, is that from the guy that was on fire in that room?
So you know those doors lead into that area, that main reception area. So you're assuming that that's probably where it originated, at least. You don't know what else may have caught fire in the meantime, but that's probably where it originated. Because that's what's through those doors. So
Okay. How far away is Rycorn on the other entrance?
From one side of the building to the other is a good 60 or so feet, maybe a little bit more.
Corporal, you got this door for a second. I want to go talk to the boss man.
Sure. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna, I guess, maybe stealth over there because I don't want to make like the creaky sounds.
Sure. Yep. Make a stealth check.
This will be good. Oh, not bad. All right, 14. That's not bad.
Okay. Yeah, you seem to not make too much noise. You seem to be pretty light on your feet. You walk up behind Rykor, and he just kind of turns around and just kind of gives you that intense look that he's known for with his yellow tiefling eyes.
Mm-hmm. So we haven't noticed any changes on that side of the building. What's the plan?
The plan is I'm going to wait for reinforcements. And in the meantime, I'm going to make sure none of that gets out of this building.
Fair.
If you've got a better plan, now's the time to speak up.
My plan was to light the building on fire, but that was a bad plan. I look at the ground. Okay, we will let you know if there are any changes. I'll hobble back over.
Very well, thank you.
I stealthed over to 15. I'm fine.
Yep. Yeah, you don't think you're making any particular noise or drawing any attention. So as you're crossing from one side of the building to another, you pass by the trap door, and you notice there's a little bit of smoke seeping up through the cracks of the trap door, around the trap door. No, it's not heavy. It's just kind of like a little bit of grayish smoke, just like a few wisps of it.
What is the roof made out of?
The roof is made out of what appear to be tarred over timbers.
All right.
So
if there's
like
if there's a loose anything, I want to chuck it at the boss man. I want to get his attention.
Yeah, you can find a chunk of wood or something like that.
I'm gonna do that and just chuck it at him.
All right. Make a general dexterity. Make an attack roll.
I got a 7.
Okay, so it lands nearby, and he doesn't seem to notice it. Kind of rolls a little bit.
Fine, I'll throw another one. I got a 16 that time.
Okay, that one hits him right between the shoulder blades. He turns around. He's just got this irritated look on his face. He kind of gives
I'm doing that.
He kind of gives you a gesture, like
It's like a smoke gesture in this hole.
All right.
Come here.
All right. He comes walking over towards you. Yes. What's going on?
Smoke.
That's interesting.
Sorry about the stick.
There isn't anything flammable under here that I could think of. Did you happen to see any overturned lanterns or anything before we ran across you?
I don't think so. I don't think so. There was a guy on fire.
A guy on fire?
Yeah, he was dead. In the main entryway. The guy that had the big crossbow up front, he kind of had a bad attitude in that lobby area. There was a guy that was on fire, but he was dead. I thought.
Oxnard was on fire and dead?
Oxnard was towards the door. There was another guy in that space that was on fire and dead, and probably one of those little ghoul demon things, which is exciting. I didn't mean demon.
Why do you say he probably was?
Oxnard?
No, well, you said he probably was one of those demon things.
I didn't really put two and two together, but when I left, he had the whitish, weird, chalky skin.
And yet he was on fire and dead?
Yes. I don't know. Next time you see him, you should ask him.
Do you think perhaps fire kills these things?
"17 religion. Do I remember fire kills them?"
You don't remember. You do know that fire is effective against a wide variety of types of undead, but it depends more on the type of undead, the specific type of undead, as to exactly how effective fire would be.
Okay, so
you don't recall all the details.
So the thing about fire is, I don't know. Just leave it there. It's possible. I don't know what kind of undead he is, and that kind of matters. So I don't know. I have no answers.
I suppose. interesting. But again, that brings us back to the problem of this smoke is there isn't anything particularly flammable right under this trap door or in that general vicinity. So I can't imagine what would be smoking right here at this very spot.
You want to move the barrels?
I'm giving it some serious thought.
Okay.
Make a perception check.
15.
15. No, you don't notice anything yet. Okay.
Does Monty? He's got a nose.
Go ahead. Well, it's not a smell thing. It'd be a hearing thing. Does he have advantage on hearing?
Yes, he does.
Yes,
He does. Keen hearing and smell. He got an 18 on whatever it is he's supposed to be rolling for.
Was that with advantage?
Yes.
Okay. Nope. Still not. Still doesn't notice anything.
Cool. I'm not worried about a thing.
Tell me, Gnome, how do you feel about going back in there?
I am a little curious, I won't lie, but I'm also very tired and hungry, so I have mixed feelings.
Well, there's two things I would want to accomplish. Number one, I'm very curious as to what the source of the smoke is. Number two, not too far from this ladder, there is a storeroom with lamp oil and some flint and steel as well. So if fire is effective against these things, that might be a worthy weapon.
So I think if that's what we want to do, we probably want to move these and train our weapons at this gate thing. I'll go. You know, if it's one step closer to breakfast, I'll go.
Well, it's going to be you and me. These two guardsmen here need to keep watch on the doors, so we're the only ones left. You have the guts for it?
I mean, they're still inside, so so far, and I don't look whiter than usual. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, then. He kind of gives you a look that you roll an insight check.
10.
10? Yeah,
10.
he kind of gives you a funny look. You're not really sure what the deal with that is, but yeah, kind of gives you almost eyes you like out of the corner of his eye for a minute. All right.
I'm gonna tell Monty to stay up here because I don't want him to be underfoot if I'm running away from demons.
Okay. Kind of gives you a yip.
Yep, that's cool.
All right, then.
I'll give
me a hand moving these barrels out of the way, and we'll put this plan into action.
Okay.
All right. So the two of you working together manage to. It takes a minute because you're rather small, and there are quite a few barrels that the guardsmen sort of very zealously stacked on top of this trapdoor.
Are they full of water?
Yes, they are full of water. So you got to kind of roll. You kind of have to roll them out of the way.
Good to know.
Yep, they look like rain barrels that have been placed up here to catch rain, and some of them are kind of green and scummy, so they've probably been there for a while, just sitting there collecting water and getting kind of brackish and stagnant. So you managed to get those rolled out of the way. Rykor briefly goes over to the guardsman that's at the back door and takes his spear from him. So he's got a spear and he's got his short sword at his waist in the sheath once again in the scabbard.
Actually, I'm gonna give the the crossbow back to the guy that's on the roof because we're gonna be in close combat anyway. I have 2 spears and a mace, though. I got the spear that I stole.
Okay, so the guardsman now has 2 crossbows rather, because he had his crossbow, and now you've given him the crossbow of the guard that left to get help. So he's got 2 crossbows, and he's kind of training them both down. Yeah, the crossbow that you have was the one that the guard that repelled over to go get help. He's the one that gave you that crossbow.
Would it be really cumbersome for me to bring that crossbow with me anyway if nobody else is using it?
So I mean, it's a human-sized heavy crossbow. So
Yes.
yeah,
The answer is yes.
To you, it's pretty big. Yeah. So,
this is what I would like to do. I would like to leave the crossbow towards the entrance for when we come back up.
toward the trapdoor entrance. Okay. Yep. You can set it right there.
Nobody else needs it anyway.
And if you can let them know that it's there if they, happen to need it or whatever. But yeah, you can leave it right there at the lip of the trapdoor.
All right. Cool.
Rykor reaches out and kind of cracks the trapdoor open and just kind of holds it there for a second with the spear in his other hand at the ready, just ready to stab away if anything pops out. Nothing happens. He pulls the trapdoor all the way back. And
didn't you put armor on?
I mean, I don't have any on the roof.
Can you borrow that, guys?
He kind of needs it.
Okay. All right. Just saying, keep your body parts on the inside. It's cool. Let's do it. Ready.
I'll give it a try. All right, then.
This is going great.
I'll see you at the bottom. He disappears down the ladder.
Okay. All right. I follow.
Okay. You climb down the ladder, and you get to the bottom pretty quickly. It's only 10 feet. And as you do, Rykor is kind of crouching there in the semi-darkness at the bottom with the spear at the ready. And he's just kind of watching and listening as you complete your descent down the ladder.
Mm-hmm. I'll follow suit and have the same behavior. It seems safer.
Make a perception check.
19.
Okay. Again, it's eerily quiet in here. You do notice as you're kind of crouching low to the ground, in imitation of Rykor, there's gray wisps and trails of smoke that are now up above your head, and they're kind of seem to be. It seems that they're being sucked out by the updraft going out the trapdoor. There's actually it's like the trapdoor being open is just kind of drawing these tendrils of smoke up and out the top of the building, and they're coming. So you're in this small cubicle where the ladder is. It's just kind of a fairly shallow cubicle. Like if you were human sized, it would be really crowded in here with Rykor.
Mm-hmm.
And the smoke seems to be originating from around the corner and down the hall to the left of where you and he are looking out. So off to your left is where these tendrils of smoke seem to be coming from.
Question. Sometimes smoke, if it is produced by something hot, it leaves like kind of like a black residue or discoloration where it used to be. Do I see any of that?
Like you're looking up on the ceiling and the walls and stuff like that?
Like the area that is directly around where I'm seeing the smoke travel.
Okay. So yeah, it's kind of coming out like it's kind of drawing it like a chimney.
Okay. All right. So it's just moving too much.
You're looking for black discoloration in that area. It wouldn't even really take a perception check. You don't see anything of that sort.
Okay. Cool.
Rykor as you crouch down next to him, the two of you just take a beat to kind of look and listen. And he leans a little bit closer in a low whisper. Do you see the smoke?
I nod.
So the smoke's coming from the left. The storeroom with the oil is to the right.
Okay.
What do you think we should do?
You wanted to get the oil, so we should be okay. They're not in there, probably.
I was also curious about the origin of the smoke.
Right and left, is it a dead end?
Priests are known for being intuitive. What's your intuition tell you?
What is, because I'm new in this building, what is to the right? Is it a dead end?
No, it's a continuation of the hallways. 2 doors down is the storeroom, which adjoins the examination room, which is where we bring murder victims and that sort of thing to examine them. That's just 2 doors down from here to the right. There are no real dead ends in this building.
That makes life more challenging. My suggestion is to go to the right, and if we don't see anything and you want to explore the left, that's fine. These things hit hard and they will kill us. So are you really feeling that curious there, Captain?
I'm pretty curious by nature, but
Okay.
I'll follow your instincts in this matter.
Let's do the mission first.
Very well.
I feel very important right now.
He kind of peeks out, looks both ways, gives you a little motion with his head. Seems to be clear. Let's go.
Okay.
So he's going to be stealthing. Are you following suit?
Yes.
So I'm rolling a stealth check for him. Roll a stealth check for yourself as well.
Okay. I feel bad for him. I want to give him a little bit of breath because I'm probably going to ruin his stealth check. That's true. I got a 9. See, I told you.
So as you kind of scurry down the hallway to the right, headed for the where he says the storeroom is, you manage to trip over your own feet a little bit just as you get to the turn to the door. He seems to be going for a door 2 doors down on the right. He's headed directly for that, and you kind of trip over your own feet, and you kind of fall into the back of him as he's running ahead of you, and he kind of gives a bit of a grunt and kind of has to catch himself on the door jamb. He kind of slaps his hand on it, making an audible kind of thunk of his palm on the wooden door jamb, and kind of stop. Nothing really happens, at least immediately. Doesn't seem to have drawn any attention that you can tell. Okay. Just slow down, okay? All right. I'm gonna open the door. Be ready. He kind of hefts the spear in his one hand and reaches out with his other hand toward the door latch. Opens the door. Looks inside. Nods his head again. Goes inside the door. You follow him in?
We'll follow him in, but I'm watching his tail. I want no ambushing.
So you walk in, and you're in a fairly small room. It's not a big room, but the entire room, floor to ceiling, is shelving. And you see there's all kinds of stuff in here. There's quite a bit of that red cordage that you've already seen on the roof. There's numerous bottles and jars and flasks of various kinds. You see quite a bit of stacks of paper. There's various kinds of boxes and lockers, and just a variety of stuff that ranges from practical to like administrative in nature. And Rykor immediately goes over to one of the shelves and starts pulling down these clay jars, and starts kind of stuffing them into various pockets. Here, grab as many of these as you can. There's some flint and steel over in that drawer over there as well. Scoop up some of that.
I do so.
As you're kind of scooping this up and putting it in various pouches and bags and pockets that you have on your person, you kind of can look around the room a little bit. So other than the door that you just came in, there's also another door leading out directly opposite that door. This door is open, and you can see in there there's there is light coming out of this room, coming through this doorway. The room that you're in doesn't have any lamps or light source of any kind, so it's kind of shadowy in here. But through that door, you can see that there must be lit lamps or something in there, and you can kind of see what appears to be a metal examination table in the middle of that room. So through the door, you can see that. And there's a few piles of what looks like you can actually clearly see the burlap covering that you had seen draped over the corpse that they brought in. This kind of piled at one end of this table, and there's a few other piles of other things that you can't tell what it is from this distance, but you can clearly see that same sort of burlap canvas covering material, whatever it was that was on that corpse. And that room is lit up, and you guys are just stuffing your pockets full of the lamp oil, what you presume is the lamp oil.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's enough. Let's get back. We'll take a quick peek at the origin of that smoke if we can, and then from there, I think it's back up to the top of the building. Are you with
Good
me?
plan. Good plan.
All right.
Probably the wrong side.
All right, let's go. So he goes back to the door that you came in through, which he had left kind of cracked open a few inches.
Yep.
And he kind of opens it a little bit more, kind of looks both ways, and heads back the way that you came down the hallway. Make another set of stealth checks.
I don't want to.
Oh, he rolled
10.
Ooh,
10 is better than.
You're lucky. He rolled very well. So
okay.
I'm gonna say his do it like a group check. So I'm gonna say his very good roll evens out your mediocre roll.
10. It's better than 9.
It's not bad, but so I'm gonna say that he's able to kind of carry you a little bit. So you managed to get down the hallway you think it's pretty silent. You don't think you made a whole lot of noise at all. And you get to the little cubicle with the ladder, and nothing's going on that you can tell. Nothing seems to have changed. You do still see the smoke kind of coming from further down the hallway. All right. I'm for checking out the smoke. Or we can head back to the roof.
You're really quick. Can you run up that ladder, deposit some stuff on the roof, and come back down without being seen? And I will just wait here for you to come back down.
Possibly. What would be the utility of that, though?
Don't the guardsmen above need the ability to make fire to kill the things?
I mean, they would have to go through us first, right?
That's true. All right.
We're right here.
It's fair. That's fair. Okay.
All right, let's do this quickly.
Okay.
So he kind of starts going off. He's heading down the hallway kind of cautiously. And he every now and again, he's looking up, just kind of getting a bead on where the smoke is coming from as you follow this hallway. There's a couple of twists and turns. The corridor turns at 90-degree turns a couple of times. You're still following the smoke. You turn one corner, and the smoke is originating from what appears to be a pile of clothing on the floor in the middle of the hallway. No flames. It's not burning. It seems to be smoking.
What does the air? What does the air taste or smell like?
Make a perception check.
Cool. All right, I got an unnatural 20.
Unnatural 20? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You get a combination of two things. One is a smoky with an undertone of greasy to it, so that it smells like burning with a kind of hint of greasiness to it. So it's almost like a grease fire type of smell, like you would get if a fire started in a kitchen or something like that. So there's that, and then strangely, there's something almost floral, or almost a combination of floral and lemon.
Okay.
That's
mental
there too.
Note.
Yeah, that's there too. But that's the scent that you're getting. It's definitely associated with the smoke. Like it's like if some of the smoke blows in your face, then you get it really strongly. You get both of those smells really strongly. So it's definitely coming from there.
Okay, what do you want to do? Say to Rycorn.
My curiosity is getting the better of me. Let's go take a look. And he begins to
I
move.
have my spears ready.
So does he. And he begins to move forward closer to this pile in the middle of the hallway. And he gets right up on it, takes a look for a minute. Are you following like right behind him, or?
I'm gonna give him some space. I want to be paying attention to what's around him, not what's on the ground.
Okay. So he gets closer and kind of for a long moment, kind of just stares down, gets down, kind of crouches down on his haunches next to this pile. Takes a minute or takes a second, kind of reaches out and touches it, pokes it a little bit, looks back at you and kind of waves you closer.
Okay, I come closer.
Okay. You get up closer, and now you can see that this is a guardsman's uniform laid out in the middle of the hallway, and it's laid out like someone was still wearing it, but it's just clothing. There's no body. There's no flame, but it's smoking. It's released. It's very clearly the source of the smoke. The smoke is coming right off of it. But it's laid out and arranged as if ready for someone to put on, or as if it were ready to be inspected. And it's laid out.
Is it flattened?
It is kind of not flattened as if a heavy weight were on it. No, it is kind of. It seems more as if someone had sort of carelessly dropped it almost. So, I mean, it's not perfectly flat. It's as if you would drop any other piece of cloth or any other.
I'm going to stab it a few times just in case.
You stab it a few times. chink, chink, chink. Your spear point hits the stone floor beneath it.
Science.
Nothing seems to happen.
Never be too careful.
Continues to give off smoke. You see very clearly the yellow helmet is there, right where it would be if someone were wearing it. The yellow epaulets are there on the shoulders, and it seems to be oddly, it seems to be the back of the tunic is on top. The back of the seat of the pants is on top. There are boots that are upside down, so the soles are pointing up toward the ceiling.
What do you think?
There's also a spear laying nearby.
I think this was a dead guy.
It's almost as if he had dissolved into smoke.
True. That is what that could look like. You have a uniform.
So again, cool. I'm going to have to appeal to your priestly training and ask if you've run across anything of the like.
I got a 17 on religion. I'm assuming that I've read stories about this.
You read stories that remind you of this, but nothing exactly like this. The closest thing that you've come across, specifically dealing with the undead, are tales of what happens to vampires when they're killed. And what the aftermath of killing a vampire is.
All right, so I will share the same information. So I've never read into this exactly, but it reminds me of stories of when vampires get killed in some way, shape, or form. They kind of disintegrate like this.
I really hope that you're not telling me that these are vampires.
I mean, vampires, undead, ghouls, demons.
But vampires? That's really, really bad.
They were much better stories.
I really hope that the other priest can perhaps shed some more light on this when he gets here.
I'm a smith specialist, not an undead guy. Well,
I'm not attempting to cast any aspersions on your knowledge, but he's actually has a bit more of an academic bent, which is why I say that. But you know what? We shouldn't be having this conversation in the middle of this particular hallway. Let's head back.
Okay.
And he turns and he heads back the way that you came, heading back toward the ladder and the trapdoor.
Okay. I will follow him, but being aware of the surroundings around him.
Okay. Make a perception check.
8.
8?
8. I'm a very attentive gnome.
Seems quiet. Seems quiet in here.
Oh, life.
Get back to the ladder, and he waves you up the ladder ahead of him, and he kind of stands and has the spear at the ready, and is just kind of watching while you go up the ladder.
Okay, I do so.
Once you get to the top, just a half a beat afterwards, he comes up after you, very kind of slowly and as quietly as possible, closes the trap door behind the two of you. All right, let's do the rain barrel dance again.
Yay!
Begins moving rain barrels back on top of the trapdoor. And soon thereafter, once you get those moved back, again, it takes you a couple minutes to kind of get everything back on top. He goes over to the two guardsmen and starts handing out the clay vessels of lamp oil. Did you grab, how much flint and steel did you grab?
Everything that I could, and I empty out my pockets.
Good. And he kind of starts handing that out to the guardsmen as well. Well, here, take whatever you feel that you need to be ready as well. If anything comes out those doors or comes up through that trap door, that's what we're going to have to try first, I suppose.
Okay. I'm going to take one jar and one set of flints.
Here, let me show you something that might raise your spirits a little bit. And he kind of motions toward the guard at the watching the front of the building. And he leads you over, and you look out over the edge of the roof, and he points to a couple of locations on the street. You see there and there, reinforcements have arrived.
Sweet.
The corporal here signaled them to take up hidden positions, ambush positions out in the street. That's why it's difficult to see them from here. And he kind of points out, and you can indeed see, and if you can kind of see yellow helmets peeking up from behind cover in a couple of places. And you, now that it's pointed out to you, you can kind of see where they're at. And it's a good number of guardsmen who are kind of hiding around corners and behind benches and things of that nature, ready to ambush anything that might come out of those front doors.
Cool.
We've got other groups moving into position in the back as well. The back should be much easier given the narrow constraints of the alleyway that lead to the back door. They should be in position very soon. So I think we're covered. With that, I would like to give you the option to rappel down that same rope that the other guardsman took and get yourself to safety. I needed you when there was work to do here, but I think we have it covered, and it would be my responsibility to see to your safety as well. I'm not saying that we can't use you here anymore if you're of a mind to volunteer, but no one would hold it against you if you were to rest on the work that you've done so far and get yourself to safety at this point. This is now a matter for the guard to handle.
Forge cleric sees it through. So if you don't need me, I'm still gonna stay on the roof until you do. So
he kind of gives you a look, like out of the corner of his eye again. Very well. Go ahead and keep watch as you were before with the corporal there, and let me know if you see anything.
I salute with the other side this time.
The plan currently, if anything comes out of either of those doors, they'll be ambushed on either end. If dawn comes and they haven't come out yet, we're going to go in after them.
Understood.
All right, then. Go keep watch. Stay awake. Stay safe. He turns around and kind of that same erect, straight back kind of saunter goes back to join the guard watching the back door. Is there anything you would like to do while you are on watch?
No. Torrent's gonna try really hard to not dwell on his empty tummy.
All right.
I'm gonna be mindful of Monty. Tell Monty, like, if something's unusual, let me know, like tug at me or something. Make sure I don't fall asleep as well.
Okay.
He's got a lot of really important things to do.
All right, so it will be several hours that you are on watch until dawn. So I'm going to say that by the time dawn comes, you're going to be at one level of exhaustion.
Oh, that's cool.
So at that point, you will have been without sleep for, I think, about 24
Wow.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were at one level of exhaustion, which means ability checks, all ability checks, you have disadvantage on. So that's going to
Cool.
be like everything: perception, knowledges, stealth, all that stuff is all going to be at disadvantage. So you pass the night relatively uneventfully. You actually do have to kind of nudge Corporal Demayan a couple of times because he seems to be nodding off a little bit. You kind of catch him doing the head bob thing a couple of times, and you dig your elbow into his ribs, and he kind of straightens up. And then it's a little while before he does it again.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, the sky begins to lighten, and you sense that dawn is not too far off.
Yay.
Right, Captain Rykor kind of appears behind you. You didn't really sense him or hear him coming up behind you. Well, glad to see you survived the night.
Can't believe you do this for a living.
It's not always this exciting. Sometimes it's downright sleazy, but it does have its moments. So that smoke has been coming out of the trap door all night long. I've been keeping an eye on it. It's been getting heavier. I'm thinking that we're going to have to do the frontal assault plan. There's been no particular noise for most of the night. None of the screaming, none of the thrashing and battling. Nothing seems to have caught on fire, despite the presence of smoke. And nothing is busted out through either of the doors. So it looks like we're going to have to put a team together to go in. I've got men to do that. Good guardsmen, strong. Well, we could use you on the cleanup crew.
That's about all I'm good for right now. Like dark circles under my eyes.
We're going to need several someones actually, to go in and make sense of all of this once everything is cleared away. So we'll let the guardsmen who specialize in that sort of thing go in and crack some skulls if needs be. You, me, and maybe a couple of other people will go in and try and figure out the mess once it's all quiet again.
Suggestion. If they have the ability to use shields, I think that's a good idea to make space from the teeth and the claws if there are any still down there. But you know the military shenanigans, but just a lonely gnome suggestion.
Oh, I'm sure they'll come up with that. I sent the other guardsmen down a few hours ago to brief them with everything that we know. And you kind of look back towards the back door, and there's no guardsmen up there. It's just you, the captain, and the corporal are the only one, and Monty are the only ones on the roof right now.
Did the healer come yet?
Yes, he is here. He's been out front with the ambushers for most of the night now. So he did arrive with the main group of troops.
Do you mind if I get this fixed before I go in as the cleanup crew?
Well, you would have to ask him for that.
Okay.
He will be part of the cleanup crew, incidentally. So you will meet him very shortly. I should warn you that he has a reputation for, I suppose, rubbing people the wrong way. This is a small town.
Okay.
And I can see that you're of a sort of regular and humble upbringing as well. He comes from the nobility. There's some kingdom down in the Southlands that I forget the name of at the moment, and his father has a barony there. And for some reason, his priesthood sent him up here for his first station. Part of the reason is clear, is because there is a need for an actual priest of Ea in the abbey. And quite honestly, I think part of the reason he's here is to teach him some humility.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. He seems to be a decent enough sort, but he has airs, I suppose, that are known to rub people the wrong way.
Okay. Good to know.
One of the things that he does have in his favor is that he has some significant academic training, both when he was a child in his father's barony and also during his training for the priesthood. So maybe he will have some insight that neither of us do.
Did Rykor give the name
Of the priest? He has not said it yet, no, but you can ask him if you.
Rykor, what's the priest's name?
That would be Hezekiah Velavar.
Cool.
Usually he's at the Abbey, which is a fair walk from the town proper. But as I said, he was called in to look at the murder victim last night, and so he had taken rooms at one of the local inns, and that's why he was so close when this happened, which is a stroke of luck, as far as I'm concerned.
Good.
Very well. This is what we'll do then. Very shortly, we're all going to get down off this roof. We're going to take that same rope strung over the side there that the guardsmen took earlier to summon help. We're going to go get behind the lines, and then this building will be assaulted, and we'll come in afterwards. Does that sound like a plan to you?
Sure.
Any input that you have to offer?
I'm gonna need help getting Monty off the roof.
That's easy enough. We have plenty of rope. I'm sure we can rig a harness of some sort to lower him down.
Okay. Let's do this.
Let us indeed. So you go ahead and you do. The three of you working together do exactly that. You tie up a sort of a makeshift rope harness to tie around Monty. You can lower him down, and then the three of you will also can just kind of rappel down the side of the building. It's only 10 feet and the rope is securely fastened enough. It's not difficult at all. You get to the ground and you kind of head back in the direction of the street. So if you remember, there's the building that's kind of set back. There's kind of the open courtyard area where wagons and stuff can pull up. And then there's the street itself. So you kind of head back into the street and you go back behind some the corners of the buildings on either side. And you see that they just have this entire part of the street just barricaded off on both sides. They've got like wooden like sawhorse barricades and stuff, and people manning the barricades on both ends of the street. They've just got it completely blocked off. And there is a large force of guardsmen here. Right? It's got to be somewhere in the vicinity of about 60 people, just kind of all over the place.
Yep, they didn't need me, but I was there looking cool anyway.
And you are given a blanket, a place to sit, and some hot mulled cider. A mug of hot mulled cider. And you're just kind of like shunted to the side a little bit and just like kind of told, just hang out here for a while and we'll get to you when we get to you. And Rykor the corporal goes off. You don't even know where he went. He just disappears. And Rykor is conferring with what appear to be other officers of the guard. And you're kind of set back behind the corner of the surrounding buildings. So you don't have a good view of the watch building anymore. So you're just kind of watching these guardsmen milling about and getting prepared. And kind of in the center, just behind the barricades, like front and center, right behind the barricades themselves, you see a group of about 10 men who are, they've got a couple of carts, and they're just taking items off the carts. And you see they have a bunch of equipment, full sets of armor being taken off, all kinds of an assortment of various kinds of weapons, and they're just suiting up. They're just putting on full plate armor. All 10 of these guys, they've got these huge tower shields.
Yep, they're fine.
Yep, and they've got on their backs, they've got two-handed great swords strapped to their backs, and they've got this really unique sort of contraption it almost looks like a halberd blade, but it's attached to a gauntlet that's strapped onto their right arm. So they've essentially got a halberd blade on their right arm and like a huge tower shield in the other, and then this gigantic sword strapped to their back. Really nice armor, very well taken care of. It's not like your breastplate and so forth to be nice and highly polished and shined up, and they don't seem to go for that. This is utilitarian kind of, it's workmanlike, very practical, but it's nice armor. It's well made, well crafted, solid, and I mean, you have to just looking at it
I'm impressed.
Yeah, as a forge priest, you have to be impressed by the quality of it. Even though it doesn't look super pretty, it's good. It's nice armor.
This reminds me of like medieval SWAT just showing up.
Yeah, that's pretty much, that's the impression you get. And they're just getting all this ready. And finally they seem to be fully kitted out, and they get in they kind of come together into like a formation just behind the barricades, and they're kind of talking back and forth to each other a little bit, and what appear to be some uniformed officers kind of are conferring with them a little bit. And you notice that you're assuming they're officers. They've got not only the yellow helmets and the yellow epaulets, but they've got yellow capes or cloaks as well. And that seems to be, as far as you can tell, that is probably the badge of their rank. So after a few minutes, those guys kind of break off and they kind of go stand in a group, amongst which is Rykor is kind of standing with them. And the formation of these heavily armored, these 10 or so heavily armored guys kind of, they get quiet. And some other guardsmen come in and they pull the barricades back. They make a path and they stand there for a minute. You hear this high-pitched whistle. And the guardsmen, the armored guardsmen, start marching forward. They turn the corner out of your sight, and you hear somebody shout something. Like, you can't quite tell what they're saying. They shout, and then you hear the rapid advance of armored boots just hitting the ground. Like they're going at, you can't see them, but you can tell they're going at like a dead run now.
Yeah.
And you just hear this colossal like collision with what you are assuming is probably the front door. Just crash, and you just hear splintering and cracking of wood. And it just continues on for like a full minute. You just hear crash, smack, just like you just hear wood splintering, creaking, cracking. And finally, you just hear this like this huge crash of what sounds like wood on stone. And then more of the rush of booted feet. And then from there, you're just kind of hearing doughy, just kind of that same metal on stone. Crash, crash, crash. And it's much dimmer now. You can just kind of faintly hear it. And that goes on like that for several minutes. And everybody that's remaining behind the barricades, 40, 50 people, however many it is, there's just this tense, quiet, waiting sensation as all this is going on. This drags on for a number of minutes, and finally it becomes quiet. You wait, and finally, one of the regularly attired guardsmen. So it just seems like an ordinary rank and file guardsman. Kind of comes running back around the corner from the watch station back into view of everybody at the barricades. And he runs up to the small knot of officers that are all kind of standing together with Rykor and the other officers that you haven't met, and kind of says something to them. They're standing too far away for you to hear what they're saying, and they kind of nod. Rykor kind of looks around. His eyes settle on you, sitting under your blanket with your mug of cider, and he starts walking towards you. As he does, he grabs, not literally, but he meets up with another figure that you haven't seen before, and the two of them start walking together towards you. They get closer, and this other figure that you haven't met is a young human male. He's got short, trimmed blonde hair, clean shaven. He's wearing what appears to be a cloak made out of some sort of a pelt. You're not really sure. It's some sort of animal pelt, maybe deer. You're not really sure exactly what it is. But it's decorated with a net, a sort of a net covering. It looks like a fishing net covers the surface of this pelt, and it's hung with teardrop shapes of some sort of orange jewel. Looks like amber, maybe. Um, and the clothing that he's wearing under it is kind of in it's in a variety of colors that kind of remind you of autumn leaves. Like there's oranges and yellows and like russets and browns and stuff like that. And it kind of that's just his like his tunic and his pants and stuff kind of remind you of, they're kind of in these autumn leaf colors. And they he's very sleek, like his trim blonde hair is kind of slicked back, and he just kind of has this his clothing has kind of a high quality look to it. Like it looks like it's probably pretty expensive. Mm-hmm. And they both walk up to you. Rykor says, Torin Wobblecog, meet Hezekiah Velivar. I think it's likely that the two of you are the only true priests in this entire town right now. So we'll need you inside. Whatever talents you can muster to help us figure this out.
Is that Valinar? That's how you say his last name?
Hezekiah Valovar.
Valovar. Is he wearing any icons that would denote which religion he worships in particular?
Is in fact, and Rykor actually already said who he was a priest of, but you do look, and he has a sort of a brooch around his neck. It's the symbol of Ea, who is the god of basically law and order.
Sometimes they mix and match us, so I just wanted to be sure.
Sometimes they mix and match what now?
Sometimes they put priests that don't really belong in particular abbeys in there just to cover the needs at the time. So I just wanted to be sure that they match.
Yes. And I don't think Rykor has said this himself, but from what Hammond Clow said in particular, the drunk that you had the conversation with, Ea is also Rykor worships Ea as well.
Yep, most of the citizens do if they worship anything. Ea.
Most, if not most of the citizens, most of the watch, at least, of the guard.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
that would make sense.
So you are able to kind of gather that information.
All right, cool.
So, let me brief you on what we were told very quickly before we go in. The assault team met with no resistance.
Okay.
Almost everyone in the building, which thankfully was no more than a dozen, as far as we can tell, have become piles of clothing, smoking piles of clothing. That's all that remains of them as far as we can tell. The only survivor so far was Sheriff Oxnard.
Okay.
We found unconscious and will require treatment. For the moment he's stable, but we can look at him later. The two of you can perhaps minister to his wounds at a later time. As I said, he's stable, so we can leave that for a bit later. He seems to have been the only one who survived. Everyone else that was in that building, other than those of us who were on the roof, is unfortunately no more. So, shall we?
Ready?
All right. I think we will pick up there next time because it is 11:45 now. And that seems
Right.
like a good stopping point.
Agreed.